What specific roles do integration of inquiry-based learning, content and language-integrated learning methods play in enhancing first-year students' academic English proficiency?
Thanks for having me. It's a great honor for me to share my 2 cents based on my course instructional experience and also research outcomes. As a matter of fact, nowadays with the promotion of EMI, a lot of the teachers, college professors specifically, are also trying very hard to help students make the transition from either the high school instruction that they are used to and then crossing over, connecting to the EMI classrooms. And after all, the knowledge complexity is much higher in higher education. So a lot of the teachers will actually, a lot of professors make extra efforts working on it. The reason why I decided to do inquiry-based research project, especially starting from the day 1 of freshman, is because I realized that once students get into this kind of learning habit, we're not only helping them with the language development, and as a matter of fact, they learn to do research. And this kind of not only the skills, but also this attitude will be considered critical. Critical in the way that it helps them not only survive in EMI classroom, but in all the classrooms. Nowadays, I believe a lot of the professors would like to incorporate a lot of, for example, SDG goals, 17 of them, cross-disciplinary wise, and ask students to give it more thought, and then also help students to make personal interpretation and make it meaningful to the students, so that way students are motivated to learn much further knowledge or much further newer information with regard of those topics.
The 108 curriculum guidelines emphasize competency-based learning and interdisciplinary integration. What are the main challenges this poses for university-level English for academic purposes, EAP, instruction?
When we're doing this kind of course instruction, especially for freshman writing, if we're really striving for crossing over to multiple disciplines, it will be imperative for us to bring in the logic and also the standards. We call it a norm in the scholarly community. In other words, if I put it in the layman way, say for instance in STEM field, they will pursue absolute facts. But in humanity, there's always gray area. And these 2 different paradigms sometimes will clash. So my students, in order for them to cross over successfully, I have to expose the STEM professors' standards and their paradigms from day 1. Say for instance, the assessment criteria per se. Assessment criteria, me as a language instructor, I have my SOP, right, when grading students' paper. The organizations, word choices, right, transitions and all that. Topic sentence, right, closing sentence, the whole package. But for STEM teachers, they even talked about how you should present the facts in the way that there is no gray area for alternative interpretation. In other words, they want to absolutely prevent this kind of twisting around. We call it twisting around. Nobody can twist their statements around. They want to present it in the crystal clear, black and white kind of manner. This would be something that's rarely shown in the writing in humanity, right? So, I mean, when we're working with experts from outside of our field, this kind of negotiation has to be done. This negotiation also helps professors from different fields to understand each other better. So in the future, when they are exposed, when they have humanities students in their classrooms, so nowadays, right, a lot of times they have to, instead of doing STEM, they're doing STEAM. STEAM, we actually have that art students, right? Art students sometimes can be really, really freestyle. They need to understand who they're talking to. They need to be able to have this reasonable expectation in terms of how to guide the non-STEM students into their logic. By working with us on this kind of one-year research writing project, we're already preparing these professors in terms of doing so. They will know how to talk to us. We will know how to negotiate with them, and in what way we can reach, we can establish a common ground between each other. So I think this is a type of dialogue all the faculty members should learn. Talking to people outside of our home disciplines, because a lot of times, a lot of the disagreement or conflicts actually derive, right, from such misunderstanding or non-understanding. And even though this is students' one-year research project that we just talked about, but this is also a learning opportunity for faculty members from all different kind of disciplines to have a conversation with each other. And that is a skill to learn, to be honest with you. A lot of times something will be taken for granted for us, will be completely foreign to them. And I actually personally got inspired by this kind of dialogue quite a bit. And then that actually would stir up a lot of the self-reflection and also reveal my personal bias. And I think if we can have more of these kind of conversations, dialogues among faculty members, a lot of the course designs will have many more possibilities. And I would think that this kind of cross-disciplinary course design will be something that is more prevalent in the future. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for. But admittedly, this kind of course design does require extra efforts, labor-wise, and also, in my case, I'm lucky enough to have MOE to sponsor. For others who might not have this luxury to give this to go at this great length, I would actually suggest to do this at a smaller scale. One way or the other would be really nice to give it a try, and then perhaps working with someone he or she is familiar with, starting with something within the comfort zone, engaging the conversation with someone who is friendly will always bring this a very positive experience. So that being said, I actually don't assume that all the freshmen should have 1 year research project. It might sound too ambitious to some instructors, but I do think taking the baby steps and give it a try, test the water, would be a nice thing to do. It actually cure this, we call it professional fatigue, right? Occupational damage. Once we're very used to something that we do everyday routine, give ourselves a bit of this kind of new challenge will actually reinvigorate this our professional development, I would have to say.
Could you provide an example of how United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are specifically integrated into EAP courses to enhance students' academic and critical thinking skills?
I think SDG nowadays is already a global movement, I even have to say, put it this way. And because a lot of the countries are making efforts to achieve a lot of the goals together, it makes our teaching preparations much easier. Easier in the sense that teaching material-wise, we can find all different kinds of materials for all different kinds of age group. Say for instance, in my class, in order to help students to kick off their project, I even introduce the UN website, right? United Nations, their websites, customized, right? The one that's particularly designed for children. because the material for children are colorful, reader-friendly, and yet still retain the spirit of the SDG goals. And also the examples are easier for students to relate. So actually would look for, say for instance, if we're talking about pop science, right? Science could sound really difficult for non-STEM students, but in the US, they also have websites and database, particularly made for teenagers, to talk about science. And they even have a lot of the science exhibit videos online presented by teenager students. I think these are facilitative means, right? I mean, for us to really provide scaffold for students of different proficiency levels. So I think basically kind of like I don't know whether you're aware of the law of the law of attraction. I mean, once you set your mind into doing this or designing these alternative courses, your attention will be drawn to this kinds of materials. And for me, I start seeing a lot of the materials around the world, not only Asia, but also Europe, Nordic regions. They actually have a lot of related materials prepared for students from all different kinds of backgrounds. I mean, I just take advantage of this global movement and realizing that this gives out a message. Students will know that not only Taiwan, but also a lot of neighboring, right, countries, and also the regions afar will all have put in collective efforts to achieve similar goals. And then if they want to really develop their, say for instance, career in the future, they better know what other people are doing. And then they really need to prepare themselves way ahead before the graduation. So I think my course objective, one of them was to help students connect between their own little world and the larger world out there. I think by introducing them this kind of authentic materials from all over the world, and also get them exposed to different kind of English accent, and really put them in perspective that English nowadays is a world language, they will start pursuing the native speakers model, and they will understand all kinds of English will be okay as long as you can achieve the effective communication quality. I think that's that ultimate goal, and that perspective, once it's set from day one, and the rest of the college study can be really start to put in perspective, and then they will understand the reasonable expectations instead of thinking about, oh, do I sound like native English speakers? No, it doesn't matter anymore. We just want you to communicate, express yourself fully, accurately. I think that's what matters. And then they will also be able to understand others better, English speakers of all different kind of accents from all different kind of regions. And then in the future, when they really have the chance to engage in this kind of, we call it intercultural or international communication, they will be able to engage in this kind of meetings, for example, or this kind of forums more effectively. That's what I'm hoping. Just get students into this, help them expand their comfort zone, and then really catching up with we call it global village, right? Knowing what people out there are doing, and then thinking about whether they will have a place to participate. I think with that, I'm hoping it will help them develop a longer, more sustainable motivation to learn.
The use of EMI is becoming more common in higher education, but students may struggle with both language comprehension and content learning. How do you perceive this challenge, and what specific teaching strategies can help students overcome these difficulties?
In this research project I'm having students to do, I always try to strike a balance between language and the content. In other words, I'm still teaching language. I just teach the language contextually. I just want them to incorporate the knowledge they get from either the resources from online or from the library and from journals and all that. But I'm still teaching language. I still need the students to be aware of the accuracy and also the fluency of communication. And then actually AI will have a really, really important role in this, especially generative AI. But in order for the students to learn to use generative AI, they need good demonstrations. Good demonstrations will include, for example, how do you design the prompt? So I actually design the prompts myself. I demonstrate to the students. Different prompts will yield different outcomes, right? And then with the outcomes, students will have to reflect on the original writing. The original means the work students write versus what AI writes. And then they will start analyzing whether they like AI's version or not, what do they like, which part do they like, and which part looks suspicious. That's already deviating from the original intention. They need to have this critical thinking. And then sometimes during the one-on-one consultation, I will also challenge them that because they need to clarify their thoughts with me. Once they have problem clarifying, elaborating their thoughts, I will realize they're just copy and pasting. And then I will start asking them, is this what you're trying to say? Why do you want to say this? Oh, AI wrote this for me. Exactly. So what do you think the AI is trying to say? So toward the end of the discussion, they will realize that, well, AI is not really doing the great enough of the job. They still need to have their own voice. But AI can bring some ideas. And then also because TAs and instructors are not always on their side, right? We're not always available to them 24 hours a day. So with AI, they actually can interact with the tool and then get prompt feedback. Prompt feedback doesn't mean, perfect feedback. They still need to use the critical thinking like we just talked about. But at least someone to discuss with. So basically, I think the way I incorporate AI would be in a more informed, educational way, a guided manner. And then, because students develop the research project with me from day one, with the TA from day one. So, it was being possible to fool, right? To think even trying to fool us with AI's work. That is just, a lot of times, if they even have any attempt to do that, they will get caught immediately because we will find something that wasn't discussed or that wasn't even expressed in the proficiency that they used to show us, right? And then that would raise a red flag. So that's why I realized that, well, yeah, you need to, as instructors, we do need to be cautious, but that doesn't mean AI should be banned from the classroom. So that is my attitude. And then I actually spoke about this with the collaborators. I'm talking about faculty members outside of my disciplines. And when they're working with my students, they also feel that students nowadays, with the help of AI, they were able to bring some of the knowledge that wasn't available before. Wasn't available before means, well, maybe something that wasn't said in a way that students can understand. AI has the ability to rephrase something. Students can ask AI to clarify, right, to the point that they can understand. So they realize that the content is richer nowadays in comparison to the pre-AI age, right, pre-AI era. And they also welcome this tool. But once again, AI literacy is all about having ability to do critical thinking, having an ability to really process information in a very careful way, right? So I think on that note, that will be one of the demonstration how I work with AI, how my students manage to work with AI, and how we strive to balance between the content and the knowledge.
Yes, so you have to recognize the pros and cons.
That's
of
right.
AI can be a useful tool, but you have to have your own point of view, your own voice.
That's right.
using it.
That's right. That's
Yes.
Personal voice is something that I'm trying to empower my student. Whether something is mature enough, something means whether students' original idea is mature enough. We need to give them the time to express themselves. Otherwise, they would doubt themselves, because that's part of the cultural that's part of our culture. We just when we're growing up, right? A lot of times, our culture is it's more suppressing in that way. So I'm trying to help my students voice themselves, and then this is actually taking a lot of time. But like I said, once my students realize that in this play field, in my classroom, in this process of researching and exploring, we don't really pursue one absolute answer. We allow possibilities, and we also don't set up one single route for students to experience. We allow multiple routes. I think once they realize we're on this same page, they're more comfortable expressing themselves. And then I think my students at the end of the day, when they're presenting their project outcome, the products actually surprised me. And some of them managed to pull off a topic that was so complicated that I would have never imagined that would appear in my freshman writing course. So that was a nice surprise, and then because of that was really rewarding. I also show students final products with the collaborating professors. Some of them actually wrote me a feedback. They said, you know what, your freshman students' works are much better than my graduate students. And then so they encouraged me. They were sure that this kind of investment was well worth it. And I'm really glad to see the positive feedback, not only from students' side, but also from faculty members' side as well. So I think, that would be some nice directions for us to take on.
Based on your experience and research, what are the future trends in English for EAP course development? What innovations or technological applications could further enhance students' academic English learning outcomes?
The other day, I was listening to an interview with the former CEO of the quantum company. And I was really happy to learn that nowadays, other than GPT, other than Gemini, the industry is also developing a lot of different smaller AI tools, but more for specific tasks. Nowadays, we already learned about there are quite a few of the research tools, AI-based, AI-driven research tools. I think we should also introduce those to students. The knowledge, the composition of knowledge nowadays is so completely different. We're talking about generational differences, right? We're actually talking about students nowadays process information in a way that we couldn't imagine. When I'm using AI, a lot of times I will have this anxiety. Not the anxiety of being replaced, but am I learning enough to guide my students? That's my anxiety. So I would actually think that if every faculty members can invest a little bit time doing this part of the teacher development, we all bring different input into the classroom and present students a diversity, a great collection of AI tools. That would be a way for us to empower them. We're presenting a buffet, but you need to know what to pick for a specific task that you're engaging. This kind of, I call it knowledge, the power of knowledge. The power of knowledge is something that's already beyond the scope that when we were educated back in our day. And I don't know how far they can go, but I want them to go as far as they can. And then I'm really eager to see the result, because I realize once students are empowered, their potential can go at a really great distance. And I want to see that happen, because that is the ultimate reward for teachers, right? We always want students to become a better person, and then we want students to outperform us because they are the future. So I think with this mindset, I actually will try out all different kind of tools. I will also continuously promoting in all different kinds of workshop and introducing not only the tools but also demonstrations of the tool use in EMI classrooms or in EAP classes. I mean, this way, I'm not only presenting the tool itself, I'm presenting the tools in the ways that teachers can relate. I think this is more productive. And so I'm actually eager to see what the future, the AI era can bring to us. And I actually believe it's a better future. I'm very positive when it comes to that.
That's the end of our interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
For us to have a conversation with you.
I enjoy this very much. I mean, I don't really have a lot of time to reflect on what I've done. I mean, I present a lot, but to reflect on this in a way that because when I'm talking about this, I'm also validating myself, and sometimes during the process of validation, deeper thoughts will come out, which can actually kind of feeding more energy for my future instruction. So that's great.